Good evening.
Good
This
evening.
is the 29th night of the 31 streams slash days slash nights of horror extravaganza. I'm Eric Allen. Joe Drilling's hanging out with me tonight.
I'm taking a break from my mini marathon of horror movies to hang out for this stream.
And I think Morbid Coffee's here.
Yeah.
He's in the thing. There he is. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hi.
How you doing?
Tired.
Yeah. So tonight, I'm gonna try. Somebody in one of the previous streams suggested that I play this at some point. It is a 1997 first-person shooter. It's not. This is like in the transition from the term Doom clone to being first-person shooters. Like this is post Duke Nukem 3D. In fact, this was built in the same engine, the build engine. But it's before like Half-Life came along and sort of helped standardize mouse look and WASD and Control Shift Alt for like crouch and run and all that shit. So I don't know how well this is gonna go because I didn't play a lot of first-person shooters until I got
Until
a
last
PC.
week.
Until like 2002 was when I finally got a PC that could play games, and by that time, like I said, it was all mouse look, and I'm sure there's some way to set this up so that I'm just gonna put it on easy because I'm gonna be struggling with the controls a lot.
It's actually kind of surprising to me because I spent so much time in the 90s.
Also, this
playing
has FMV sequences that make the window really small.
Like I had to get used to mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
Because I was used to not mouse and keyboard.
Right.
Like I was used to games like this and Dark Forces and
Right.
Duke Nukem 3D and
Right. Well, I mean, and even if you go back to Doom and the games that are actually the actual Doom clones, like Hexen or whatever, you didn't. You could just play with the arrow keys and shooting and interacting because that was all there was. Like you didn't have to look up to aim, and it wasn't even until Doom 2 that you could like run and stuff.
Now I will take your life. Consider my power
Wow.
in a hollow grave.
All right. Where? I don't know what's happening.
you're falling.
What am I seeing here?
This is
Hey,
a game
it's
called
my
Blood.
gals.
Did you ever play this?
I did not play Blood, but it does look like it's from the build engine lineage of sprite-based first-person shooters.
Yes.
It 100% is that. Yes.
Oh God. I've done something horrible. Okay, so it's inverted mouse look, and left and right doesn't do anything with this turned off on. So let's just go back to. All right. So how do I strafe? Forward and back on the directional keys is forward and backwards. Controls to attack. Left and right spins me around. So how do I strafe?
You probably have to hold down a button, like we did in the old days.
God.
Try Alt.
Yeah, Alt is strafe. Oh, fuck.
That's how we did it, man.
And then you have page up and down is the look up and down and stuff. Alright, well, I'm not going to get too far in this.
No.
Not with that attitude. Come on, quitter.
There is no way for me to learn these controls in a timely fashion.
Boo.
Also, they're just not good. This is just a bad way to play these games. I know that
Yeah, they really.
I mean, look.
if I had a Gravis gamepad or
nobody
something.
knew. All right, nobody knew that you should be playing games with a mouse back then.
Until Quake and Half-Life and stuff.
Everybody knew you should be playing adventure games with the mouse back then.
Yeah. I still remember making the leap to mouse control after playing Quake for like a year on the keyboard, and just it was super hard. It was really difficult. I mean, but Quake was a pain on the keyboard too, but it was a whole new world.
Yeah. Well, it's just that you have so much more control over what you're looking at and doing. Oh, wow.
But anyway, any game in the build engine clearly predates good,
Yeah.
good knowledge of mouse controls. So don't be hating. Is what I'm saying.
These objects in this graveyard are like actual 3D objects. They're not just sprites that rotate. Well, the tombstones are. This tree is just a sprite that rotates. But
I want to say that
super impressive in 1994.
Hell yeah.
I just got
or whatever this
rooted.
was.
it was actually not super impressive even back then, but that's because it was attached to generally not very good games.
what's that? The build engine?
The 3D items, like I believe Shadow Warrior was the first build engine game that had 3D like med kits on the ground, and like the enemies weren't 3D, but there was the occasional very simple 3D geometric model.
That looks like I pick up a beating heart to get health.
Sounds
So
about
are you a vampire in this game?
I'm not 100% sure. I was talking to Satan and he like stole my wife or my girlfriend and then killed me or something. So
So it's Mario Odyssey.
So it's like Double Dragon.
It's
Welcome
like
to
every video
Morningside
game ever.
Funeral Hell.
Yeah. Sorry, Coffee. I'm trying to invite you to my fire team, and it says there's a network error.
I joined.
Rest in
Oh.
pieces. Get it?
Well, great. Good job. Yeah, what were the other games on the build engine? I mean,
Dude,
Redneck Rampage.
Redneck
Rampage.
Rampage.
Yeah, I actually
Featuring
had that. I
soundtrack
got
by
that.
Mojo Nixon and the Toad Lickers.
Yeah, I had
Well, that's
that.
really too bad for them.
Got that for $5 at Walmart.
And you paid $5 too many.
That's a pretty bad game.
Doom is not a build engine game.
No,
I will have you know.
I don't think we said that.
No,
did we?
Doom is not a build engine game.
Okay.
Yeah, did anybody say Doom? I didn't think
I thought you said Doom.
We were talking about Doom because it's like this is like the
I said
transitional
Duke.
period.
Oh, Duke. Oh, okay.
Oh, I was saying that this is like the transitional period between when first-person shooters went from just being games that were just like Doom to being, I'm gonna try again, to being actual first-person shooters and not just games that were a lot like Doom.
I don't buy into that whole hoity-toity, oh, Doom was not a 3D game bullshit. Doom was like 95% a 3D game.
Guess you can't look up and down though.
Yeah, but that's
You don't
so
have to.
overrated. Nobody does that in real life.
Looks up and down.
Yeah.
You don't look up at things.
No.
Okay, well,
look up
fair
to
enough.
you, Eric.
I can't argue with that.
Is it Valentine's Day on the stream?
Every day is Valentine's Day on the stream.
I don't think any good actually. Oh, there's some dynamite.
No, but like functionally speaking, you can do like 95% of what you want to do in a first-person shooter in Doom.
Well,
Like, yeah, you can't technically have two
look
rooms
up and
on
down.
top
You
of each
can't
other.
aim at things in Doom. You just
You
like
don't have
point
to
yourself
aim.
in the. I know,
Just
but
takes
that
care of
is
it for you.
I consider that an integral part of playing a first-person shooter.
I think
look,
Doom is still super fun.
Look, Mike, Doom is super fun. Doom is still a really good game, especially like you go and when that came out on Xbox 360. That version of Doom is like it's
That's a
fucking
real good version of
fantastic.
Doom.
It's fun. It's a great game still, but it's actually I feel like Doom and its ilk hold up better than these games in this weird transitional period.
Well, certainly any game that wants to be a full 3D first-person shooter prior to Quake is going to have a real hard road to hoe.
Yes. Oh, this is not going well.
Yeah, no kidding. This tank's still alive.
I just even like the default controls don't make any sense because like I guess duck and jump are above and below each other, but it's like A and Z, and X is to attack. Ugh.
It's almost certainly some bullshit because people didn't have any idea what they wanted to do.
Yeah. You listen to like people that did play a lot of first person shooters back then, and a lot of them had like almost everybody had their own
Like custom control scheme.
right. Like everybody had a different way of doing things in a lot of cases.
Now,
You
those
really-
guys should have invested in a stinky footboard.
I do really like the way that these guys light on fire when I shoot them with this flare gun. How do I change weapons? 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope. Let's see. Because I picked up some dynamite. This is a really good help screen, by the way. These demons torture this mime.
He probably had it coming.
Yeah. Let's see. Control. Oh, there's a... Control is normal fire, and X is alt fire. Backspace
X
to
is
turn
alt fire?
around. Yeah, that's what
The
it
game
is.
uses Control and X?
Yeah.
That's really weird for a game of that era. Like, back then, the Control and Shift and Alt keys were always kind of the standard for everything.
Hotkeys. B is
There was like a
Beast Vision.
separation of church and state.
C is crystal ball. I don't know how to change weapons though.
I thought you said Crystal Malt because I'm going to be brewing some beer soon.
Look up, look down, aim up, aim down, resize screen, mouse aiming, which was a disaster when I tried it. Cycle through inventory. Oh, it's bracket buttons. That's not working. What about these ones? Nope. Well, I guess I'm just going to use this pitchfork forever.
Very happy if I could make it through this plaza without the public event retriggering.
You have to keep doing it forever. I finished the story
I did it.
today, so I have literally nothing else to do in Destiny 2 at this point.
You finished the story?
Yep.
What about like nightfalls and raids and strikes and
I
stuff?
mean,
You
I
do everything
I have
else.
all the other. I have a bunch of side quests that I need.
I'm trying not to talk about Destiny while you're streaming, but
I haven't been watching the chat. I'm sorry. I was murdering people on Friday the 13th because I spawned as Jason, so I had to finish that game.
You can't let that
Jack
go to
Red-
waste.
Right. Jack Red says, "Freaking awesome! You're playing Blood." He's the one who requested it. So.
Yeah.
Are you the programmer on the game, Jack?
Blood is like Duke 3D with some Doom influence and horror movie references. Cryptic Passage expansion is one of my favorite expansions ever. Thankfully, the controls... He says the controls are great, but you can change them if you need to.
The controls are not great.
I was gonna say,
I disagree.
You have led me to believe.
Like I
thus
said, there's
far.
probably some way to mod this to have proper mouse look, but like like I said, I didn't grow up with these types of controls for shooters. By the time I started playing PC games, mouse
But
look
they
and
also sucked
WASD
back then,
had
like-
been codified. Yeah, but I mean,
We put up with it because it was so exciting to play a first-person game, but
Right.
like I don't think I ever thought Duke Nukem 3D controlled well.
Oh, I think it controlled. I thought it controlled fine. I had no problems with it. Or I was telling Eric this before you got here. Or Dark Forces, or
Pressing
Whatever.
page up, page down to aim your gun.
well, Doom didn't have that problem as much because you didn't have to aim.
That's why Doom is great.
Right.
But no, Duke 3D, I remember like 90% of the time you were okay to
Yeah,
just
you're
aim
right.
straight forward, but then you had to page up or page down if you wanted to aim up.
I mean, going back to these games, these types of shooters, like I said, without modding it to like hack in actual proper mouse look, is a lot like going back and playing first-person shooters on the PlayStation 2 before Halo came out and sort of codified how to do shooter controls.
Red Faction.
Yeah.
Oh man, the flare pistol. I do remember the flare pistol being a very amusing.
Ugh, I keep hitting like the Windows button and oh fuck. Yeah, I'm dead again.
You might be able to disable the Windows button if you like right-click the executable for this game.
Yeah, that's possible. Jack Red wants to know if we've played the original Shadow Warrior. I definitely.
I have.
Is that the one with the long wang joke?
Yeah.
They're
you know,
low.
I mean, in that it's the protagonist, yes.
Yes.
That is the joke, though. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the whole. It's a dick joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually there was a place. So bear with me as I show my age here. There was a place in West
You're
Dallas
not that old, Joe.
that, well,
You don't get to make age jokes until you're like 50.
well, there was a place near where I grew up that had basically like they just had like 12 computers land together all the time.
Yeah.
And like you would go there with your friends to rent computers to like play multiplayer games on because it was way more practical than trying to do it with like 8 people over a 14.4 modem.
That sounds awesome.
So they had Shadow Warrior was one of the games. They had Shadow Warrior. That's where I actually first started playing Team Fortress because they had Quake.
Quake Team Fortress, the real deal.
Right. Team
Yeah.
Fortress.
Yeah. So
That's right. Back in my day, we just called that
That-
Team Fortress.
That's right,
Poison
yeah, that's right.
bombs and yeah.
The demo man who could blow up the grating to sneak into the base for the.
Yep.
Mhm.
And two
Yep.
fort.
Jack Red says, "How about Redneck Rampage series?" LOL. God, why am I asking this?
We literally just brought that up. Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about
It
that.
has like
before
you can shoot a crossbow that is a chicken
Isn't that like
bomb.
it has like a saw blade launcher, if I remember correctly?
like
Like I
that,
feel like that was
I
the
don't
novelty weapon. Every first-person shooter in those days had some kind of novelty weapon. That
Dukes
That
had the
was
shrink
like-
ray and the free. There was a freeze
Yeah.
gun, I want to say,
there
too.
was a freeze gun where you.
But the
freeze
shrink
them
ray
and
was
kick 'em.
totally. Yeah.
Right. Shrink them and squish them. Yeah.
The shrink ray was
Uh,
definitely like the star gimmick weapon.
Yeah. Hexen did not have a gimmick weapon, but it was cool because you were like a wizard.
Well, you were
or
a
whatever.
wizard. That's the gimmick, was that you were a wizard, Harry.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I dabbled with all those games. Obviously, Doom was amazing. Quake, in the end, I wound up really liking for the multiplayer, even though I didn't like the single player at all. I did play Duke 3D and thought that was, that was the most fun of those types of games. But after that, I don't think I played any of the games except for the only other game I played before Half-Life in that genre was Shogo,
Hmm.
Mobile Armor Division.
That's a pretty interesting game too.
So that's funny because Eric was saying he
Did
didn't
you?
have
Or
a
no, you
gaming
didn't
PC.
play like System Shock. It was another.
I didn't play System Shock 1. I played System
Yeah.
Shock 2.
Yeah, I played System Shock 2 also, but like that was System Shock 2 and Deus Ex and Half-Life were like the holy trinity of, like,
Great PC shooters.
great PC
kind of pushing the
shooters,
genre forward
Yeah,
and-
with different weird mechanics, and let me try a different scenario here.
Yeah, I had a gaming PC in like the mid '90s, but when 3D acceleration started to be a thing, which I guess was still like the tail end of the mid '90s, the mid to late '90s.
Like 98 was when I got my
didn't
first
have-
card.
Look at this.
Yeah,
boat.
see, I didn't have a PC that had like that was equipped with like a high powered graphics card when that started to be a thing that you needed. I didn't have one of those really until this laptop that I didn't have something that could play current games
Right.
until I got this laptop that I'm
This
still
eyeball.
on today,
Yeah.
which is now of course 7 years old or something, and so it doesn't really it's not really keeping up anymore. But
I don't actually
so
remember.
I missed all that stuff. I missed Deus Ex. I missed like Jedi Knight. I missed Quake. Even really. I mean, I
Morrowind.
played a bit of it on console. I missed Morrowind and Daggerfall,
You didn't miss. Let me tell you, Joe.
and didn't miss Daggerfall.
You didn't miss Daggerfall. That series
I-
does not get interesting until Morrowind. I mean,
I had a
pardon
friend
me,
who played
it's very
Daggerfall.
interesting. Daggerfall and Elder Scrolls Arena are very interesting games, but that series doesn't really work until Morrowind comes along.
So you didn't need a graphics card to play Quake. Quake had a software rendering mode, and that's what I used for most of the time that I spent with that game. Because I didn't get my graphics card until I want to say like maybe 1999 or 2000. It was when I built my first PC, or no, bought my first PC of my own, and that was the first time I ever had a graphics card, and that's when I discovered, Shogo, and more importantly, Half-Life, which was still relatively fresh but not brand new at that point.
Right. Yeah.
All right,
Um,
that's a bomb.
apparently, there's a game that just came out, or that is in early access now, I think it's called Dust, which is like basically a tribute to this game. It's like a very old school style, first-person shooter.
Okay.
That is, I've
There's-
heard is pretty decent. I don't know. But it's weird to me now that there are nostalgia projects dedicated to like this specific era of. I mean, it makes sense, but it's
There's
still,
nostalgia for everything.
right.
Yeah,
But
it
like,
doesn't
I mean,
surprise me
Double
that they're-
Daggers was great. So
Like I said, I think I would actually be enjoying this game quite a bit if I took the additional effort and time necessary to hack in like real mouse look, which I said is probably a
Right.
thing that you can probably apply. I know there is. I know
there's
that
probably
there is.
something in the Steam Workshop. that
Yeah,
does that.
I bought the GOG version because it was on sale for $1.50, but I know that there are mods for like Duke Nukem 3D that gives you like proper modern shooter controls for the most part. I think that it still feels a little weird just because.
Yeah. Jack Red says that he's excited his birthday's coming up, so he'll have some money to spend on the Steam Thanksgiving sale.
Yeah.
I'm almost grateful when I don't have money to spend during Steam sales, because then I don't end up buying
I do.
games that I don't end up playing.
Since I usually buy the indie monthly Humble Bundle stuff, I just don't like that has replaced me buying stuff in the Steam sale.
Steam
because
sales,
there's
yeah.
usually something interesting in there that maybe I wouldn't have otherwise bought, but
I think I've gotten to a relatively okay place with my game buying, because I will occasionally buy a cheap bundle or a cheap game on Steam that I'm interested in, but like really cheap. But if I spend, a little bit more money on a game, it has to be something that I'm going to start playing right away. And that's kind of what I've talked myself into. And I think it kind of helps at this point that I have like a 500 game backlog that'll never complete. So at this point, it's like, fine, you want to spend $40 or $60 or buy Destiny 2, fine, but you're going to play it right now. And so I'm a lot better at resisting games when they're like 60% off, but still $30, and I'm not actually going to touch it ever.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going through that right now. I really want to play Hollow Knight, which was like a Metroidvania kind of thing that came out on Steam earlier this year.
Play the Switch version.
Yeah, the Switch version's not out yet, and I can get the Steam version for $10. But that's why I haven't. I know I'm gonna like that game. Like, just look like I love the aesthetic of it, and I want to play one of those. And I've been hoping that Axiom Verge would show up, or what was the other one? Ori and the Blind Forest. I was hoping one of those two games would show up in a bundle at some point, but
I didn't like either of them very much.
yeah, Hollow Knight seems like the one of those that I'm the most interested in.
I worked with a guy who was really big on Ori and the Blind Forest, but
it has its
Xbox One. I haven't played it.
Yeah, well, it's not Xbox One exclusive.
Wasn't
What's
it? Or is
I
that
played it on
PC, I
PC.
guess, too. Yeah.
What's that?
Ori.
That's
Ori
on
and the Blind
everything.
Forest.
That's on everything. So is Axiom.
Is it on everything?
Yeah, I mean it's not. I don't think it's on Switch yet, but it's on everything.
I
else.
thought Axiom Verge wasn't on Xbox One and Ori and the Blind Forest wasn't on PS4.
I don't know
be
if they
wrong
were
about
when they
that.
came out, but I'm pretty sure they're on everything now. But I could be wrong about that. I don't know. I don't own a modern console anymore, so.
You have a Switch, don't you?
The Switch, that's a modern console.
Yeah. Okay.
Speaking of Metroidvanias, I'm kind of interested in the apparently flawed but interesting Mummy Demastered.
Axiom Verge
Yeah,
is on everything.
I'm interested in that too, but apparently the Switch version is the one to avoid. Like it kind of chugs.
That's really too bad because that's the console you'd want it on.
Ori's still not on PlayStation, but Axiom Verge is on everything.
Yeah, I did love it. Axiom Verge is interesting. So if you're willing to play one that's like not great, but you just want to see some slightly different stuff, then give it a shot, I guess.
Yeah.
I think I liked Ori better of the two, but neither one of them was like top shelf.
Jack Red says that Resident Evil usually goes on sale during Steam. Resident Evil's on sale all the time. Never pay full price for an old Resident Evil game because it will inevitably go on sale.
Oh yeah,
like in
on
2
Steam
weeks.
they're always on sale.
Yeah,
Although they
and,
never get super cheap, generally speaking.
That's
but-
true. That's true. Sometimes they'll hit like 50% off. I feel like maybe Resident Evil 4 is super because that's on my Steam wish list for some reason. So I think that one's pretty cheap right now.
Capcom doesn't do this huge discounts in general, except maybe for the Dead Rising series.
Yeah. Yeah, Resident Evil, sometimes they'll do series sales for Resident Evil, either on the Humble Store or on Steam or whatever. But he says maybe Friday the 13th and Dead by Daylight. I will tell you that Friday the 13th, by all accounts, is better than Dead by Daylight. So, that would be... I haven't played Dead by Daylight yet, but everybody I know...
Steam sale.
Yeah. Everybody I know who's played both that I've heard from has said that's Friday the 13th
Dead
is
by
better.
Daylight looked really. They both looked pretty rough when I watched the Giant Bomb streams of them. But
Yeah. And he also says he heard mixed things about the PC ports of Dead Rising.
I haven't played them.
Yeah, I think
Which Dead Rising?
all of them.
He said
they've
the
all been
series.
kind of rough.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that the Dead Rising 2 was good.
Like Batman
Report.
Arkham
Well,
Knight
it's-
rough or like not that rough?
I think they're all functional now, but I'm not 100% sure. I mean,
Because Dead Rising 2 is rough on consoles too, so Choose your poison, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what's a great Capcom game that runs on PCs?
Brain storage, no zombies allowed.
What's that?
Dragon's Dogma.
Is it?
PC part of that is
Dragon's
fucking
Dogma
fantastic.
is really weird, and I've only played like 5 or 6 hours of it. I keep thinking that I'm gonna play a bunch of it, but I never quite get around to
The
it.
PC version is really fucking good.
Yeah, I really love the climbing mechanic in that game. It's really weird. Although I don't know if that's relevant to a discussion about.
Blood.
You're looking for something.
One
well, if you're
unit
looking
whole
for
blood.
something like horror based in the Steam sale.
So, Poverty Game Night definitely just referenced something in the chat, but I don't know what the reference is. So, I feel like if I read the comment, I'm going to read it wrong. So,
What does it say?
blood, blood, crimson copper smelling blood, his blood, 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 and bits of sick.
Ah, what the fuck is this guy?
I don't know. I think the message comes through.
Yeah. But if it is a reference to something,
Man,
then
this
I just
dude's
fucked it
fucking-
up. So
There we go.
it could be a reference to this game, which I actually, haven't really played since it was new, basically. So
I got a Tesla cannon. Unfortunately, the buttons that change weapons aren't doing the thing that they're supposed to do.
Oh, he said
turn-
sorry.
I can
Just
turn
came
on
from
a hard.
watching Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. Oh, that's right. I've watched the first 2 episodes of that. I have 2 episodes left. That show is great, though. And now that you said that, I do remember that line. So there you go.
Oh, here we
Guess
go.
it's not
Okay, they are
Oh.
changing weapons.
Also, if weird horror comedy stuff is
Oh,
your thing,
shit.
you should watch Garth Marenghi's Dark Place because it's pretty great.
Still have not watched that.
Coffee, how do we get through the disco wall?
How do you solve every problem in this game?
Thank you.
Punch it or shoot it.
Oh, wow, this is a nice place. Like in a super swanky high-rise apartment
I
building.
do like some of the weird sprites that they put in when you shoot things with different weapons.
Yeah, like the skeleton.
Yeah, the fire
Bethesda
sprite on the
one.
guys was pretty good too with the flame. There I have Beast Vision now. I'm gonna use it. I don't know what that does, but I know if I hit B it'll activate it.
Jack Red says that gun works wonders on the right enemies.
This Tesla cannon.
Yeah, I think that's what he's referring to.
Oh shit, wrong button. Nope, that's the Windows. Oh fuck. God damn it.
I thought you opened the windows or something. It's kind of like a Resident Evil-esque dogs coming through the windows thing.
Alright, let's check the last one here, and then I'm gonna call it a day. But like I said, if I think I could, I don't know if you've ever tried to play like OG System Shock or like some of the other really early 3D games.
Even Deus Ex is a little rough, and that's got mouse controls, but
I could still play Deus Ex, but
these just
I
old
have-
PC first-person shooters just tried to do too much.
yeah, but what I meant was that like the games with the sprite-based enemies and stuff sort of do hold up a little bit better visually than the really early like 3D ones.
Jack Red says this is the second expansion that you're playing now, but it was supposed to come out before the Cryptic Passage, so I guess it
Yes,
was
there's
supposed to be
two.
the first
So this
expansion.
is what the hell is this called? Blood. It's on the thing, the wallpaper. 1 unit whole
One
blood.
unit whole blood. yeah.
That's the version you get on GOG, and it has both of the expansions that came with it. You can get this and
Blood
the
2.
second game for $3. So right
That's
now
some
it's on
kind of
sale.
deal.
Well, it's on sale
One of
because of
the-
the Halloween connection. So.
Yeah. One of the first games I bought on Steam was Painkiller Black Edition, and I just realized I still haven't played it.
Painkiller's pretty fun.
It never really clicked with me. It's very silly. I think you'd like it, Joe. It's got a lot of goofy horror stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like Serious Sam or whatever. It's
Right.
It's Serious Sam if it was more like gothic
more
horror.
serious.
I'm told there's a gun that fires lightning and shurikens.
It does.
So, I mean,
That's
sold.
100%
What else?
true.
You don't really have to tell me anything.
There's also a
else.
stake gun that fires high-powered stakes that stick enemies to the wall,
Tonight,
Nice.
monkey wrestling.
which I would say is definitely cooler than the shuriken gun. If you think that's the sort of sentence that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah, I don't. Painkiller's not great, but if you want to just like run around and shoot some guys for cheap,
Yeah, I enjoyed
Serious
Serious Sam more in that vein.
Yeah.
Jack Red says this expansion was made by the team who made the original game, which was Rare back then. Was that Rare back then? I feel like that was normal-ish, but maybe I just don't remember.
I think it was. I think it happened a lot that they farmed them out. Even like the Half-Life expansions, which were good, were made by other studios. I think.
Right. Yeah. Blue Shift and
Blue Shift for sure. I can't remember about Opposing Force.
Blue Shift is like really good.
Blue Shift is. I know Opposing Force is really good. I don't think I played all of
Blue
Blue
Shift
Shift.
is the.
That's the one where you play as
co-op.
Barney.
Yeah, I think isn't that the one that has co-op too? Maybe I'm
Yes.
screwed up. I don't know.
That and the Dreamcast version.
Yeah. So the first
We
time I
used to
played
have stats.
Half-Life was the PlayStation 2 version, which is a very bizarre version of that game that has a lot of
That's how I first played Deus Ex.
stuff in it that doesn't really have that much to do with Half-Life. Like if you play that version and then play the PC version, they seem like different games in places.
Man, I bought Deus Ex on PlayStation 2 used and returned it within about 2 days.
That's how I first played Deus Ex too.
I rented it on PlayStation 2, and didn't click with me.
I loved it.
On the PlayStation 2?
I mean, it was janky as fuck and broken in some places, but I still.
I wish that I had loved it because I think that if I'd found it 3 or 4 years earlier, I think it would have been perfect for me. But
Yeah. It's still. Like I said, I played a lot of that stuff. I played that and Thief 2 on a PC Gamer demo disc that had
nice.
both of those games for free. So you bought a $6 magazine and you got Thief 2 and Deus Ex for free.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was a hell of a
That was
deal.
the version of a Steam sale.
It was like
and it's true because
whatever.
you'd buy all these games and then you'd never play them. So it is very much like the Steam sale.
I played both of those games.
I got Wizardry 6 and Betrayal at Krondor with some magazine.
Betrayal at Krondor.
That was a good game.
That's a pretty good game, yeah.
So funny story. I worked at a game store in college, and
I always
so-
do so much better going back to old 2D games than any old 3D game. I have a hand on my
Yeah.
face here. How do I get rid of this?
So I don't know, man.
All right, you got a better loincloth.
No, get off.
Put it under a bucket and cover it with a copy of
I'm-
Farewell to
This
Arms
hand is
by
going to kill
Hemingway.
me, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Let it run in a mouse hole and shoot it with your shotgun.
If I look up and down, no,
There'll be a lot
it
of
just
blood
killed
if you
me.
do that. So
I don't know. what else
yeah,
was
so
supposed to
I worked
get
in a
rid of
game
that.
store in college, and even though the Half-Life Dreamcast port never actually came out, they did print a strategy guide for it.
Oh,
And
nice.
the guy who owned the store I worked in he would take anything from our distributor because we'd always get really random shit, and he got just boxes full of Half-Life strategy guides for the Dreamcast port. And I was always just like, no one is gonna buy this. This game never came out. Like, it's-
Did you get them free or something?
By
Like,
the time the Dreamcast version came out, I don't think the PlayStation 2 version of that game sold like gangbusters because anybody that gave a shit. had
I
already
mean,
played
maybe
it on
people
PC.
bought it and used it for the PlayStation 2 version, I guess. But I don't ever remember selling one of those. But I think
I don't think
he
the
probably paid,
Dreamcast and the
10
PlayStation 2
each
version
for
aren't the
those.
same. Like the PlayStation
they?
2
Okay.
version hacks in some parts of Blue Shift and stuff into the levels because there's some stuff there's parts of that game that are too big to fit into the RAM of the PlayStation, and so they hacked in smaller bits from some of the
Oh,
Half-Life
okay.
expansions and stuff. I want to.
But they might have done that for the Dreamcast too.
That's
They might have
possible.
done the same thing for the Dreamcast.
I think the
don't know.
Dreamcast version was supposed to be more authentic too.
Hmm.
Half-Life
But-
PS2. I just wanna see.
This is the same store I worked in where our boss bought a bunch of Sega Menacers. Now this is in 2003. He
the
bought
Sega Menacer is still as relevant as it was the day it was released.
a pallet of Sega Menacers, and we actually had a contest in the store to see who could sell the most brand new in-box Sega Menacers in 2003.
Oh, Half-Life Decay is the
And who did?
co-op.
I
mode
honestly
of the
don't
PS2.
remember. I'd like to say it was me, but I don't think I was working enough shifts at that time because I was still a student to actually have been the one who did it. Jack Red says, if you hate the hands in this game, you would hate the small creatures that are hard to see in the water and dark areas of Blood 2.
How do I get rid of the hand? That's what I want to know.
Yes, Jack, tell us. How do you kill the hand or shake it off
Theoretically
or
speaking,
whatever?
I think I'm gonna give one more shot at this, and then I'm gonna call it a night anyway.
I can't get back up there.
It's alright. I think I know what to do now. Oh, almost. Next time.
I have to go play a shooter with controls that make sense to my brain.
Well, we've got one for you.
To your 2017 brain.
Yeah. There was no point in my life where the controls for this game would have made sense. I don't think.
Nope. There was no point in anyone's life, but they were flying close to the sun, and
I mean, I remember this game being like pretty critically, like it was a critical hit.
I picked up the key. Yeah, this
People
game is
loved
supposed
this
to be
game.
very good. It has a very high rating on GOG. Like, just playing it, like I can tell. Like I said, if I'd taken the time to properly hack in like real shooter controls, this would actually be pretty fun. The thing that's keeping me from having fun is just the controls, basically. I just can't. Oh, this looks like a
I'm just saying, if the controls were total ass for people in the day, that it wouldn't be as highly regarded, you know.
Well, I don't think the control. I think the controls are standard for the day, which is total ass. You know what I mean? But it's not
Right.
outside the norm of what it would have been in 1997.
Yeah,
we all had our build engine reflexes at that point.
that's true. We
Right.
did.
Like, you wouldn't. Like, if somebody discovers a better way to do first person shooter controls 10 years from now, like, that wouldn't stop people of today giving Destiny 2 or whatever a good rating, because it has excellent controls for what's standard for today.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. People still love GoldenEye, so.
Yeah, that's true. That would not fly. At
I
this
love
point.
GoldenEye in 1998, but that game.
Having to hold down a button so you can free aim.
Yep, and the free.
I mean,
aiming
the game is
really
designed
bad, too.
around. The game is designed around
It's
that.
true.
Right? It's
but
not like the
playing that
enemies
game
are crack shots.
Sucks shit these days.
I haven't
Sorry
played
to say.
it in many years, so I.
It's not fun
Could not
anymore.
say.
It's just
The last time I played it was
even like the Turok controls were better, even though those are still horrible and.
Those are awful. Well, that game has platforming though, so like fuck that game. Just in general, because at least GoldenEye had the decency to not make you platform with those broke ass controls, you know. But Turok was like, jump on these rocks to get over this
I
pit.
didn't have, at least yeah, but at least Turok you could move and like look around at the same time. Hey, I did your level.
I like how I'm now playing rugby.
You're about to play a hella level.
Cool.
No
Damn it.
secrets though,
I got
Eric.
killed
No
by this
secrets.
guy. I look, man. The secret is I am really struggling with these old ass 3D shooter controls. Anyway, that's a blood. That game actually seems pretty dope. Like I like the look of it quite a bit, and the level design actually seems pretty good. It doesn't seem like the levels are the weird labyrinths that Duke Nukem 3D and Doom 2 sort of suffered from.
That is the thing about. I played a lot of Doom 2 back in the day, but man, those are some labyrinthine.
Yeah, I mean, even by
Oh,
the,
the level designs are not great.
even by the end of Doom, some of the levels are a little bit hard to hold in your brain all at the same time. But by the middle of Doom 2, it's just like finding the keys
Yeah.
and then figuring out how to get back to the doors and navigating that line graph map system is just
yeah.
it's really
Touch every wall and
Not
hope one
that
of
much
them's an
fun.
elevator.
Yeah, run up against every wall, smashing the space bar.
It's why Doom 1 is the superior Doom game.
I agree 100%.
Yeah,
That and bullet sponge enemies, Doom 2 has a lot more of.
Doom 1 is so fucking good.
But even then, like the third episode, you're starting to get into those endless
Yeah.
corridors and key hunts, and it can be a bit much. Doom 1 Episode 1. Best first-person shooter of all time.
That's really good music.
And
I mean, it's
controls.
just like Metallica and Pantera, but sure.
Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, that's some blood. Like I said, this game seems alright for $1.50 if you're looking for some mindless fun and you're willing to put the time and effort in to modding
Rerunning
proper
build engine controls. Yeah.
mouse look controls. Yeah, there's got to be. Oh, right here, BMouse 0.5 mouse driver that fixes the terrible mouse look on DOSBox. So maybe this is the thing that I need.
Don't forget people who played Doom using the mouse back then moved forward by pushing the mouse up and then
Yeah,
moving their hand back over and
that's
over
like
again.
the default mouse controls in this. So I would want to have like one hand on the arrow keys and then left and right mouse button to fire, and then I would turn with the arrows and then go forward and back with the thing, which seems kind of screwed up.
Amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Blood. It's all right.
All right. So tomorrow night is Devil's Night, as it were.
Okay.
You got a plan, Eric?
For tomorrow? I don't know.
Yeah.
Devil's
Soma
Daggers.
and Silent Hill 2. Probably the last two things I'm going to look at for this.
What was Silent Hill 2 and what else?
And Soma,
Oh,
which was that first-person horror thing that came out last year from... I still haven't played that, but I really wanted to. Anyway, good night.
yeah.